What's up, guys? Kaijudoyoshi here. Got a deck profile for you guys today on my Mono Red Rush. I really wanted to build this deck once I saw Burn Claw and Bronca. I thought they would be very good additions to this deck. And when I was playing my Fire Nature Rush before Dragon Strike and Furnace, I didn't like Nature. I didn't feel like it was adding anything to the deck, really. I was just running it just because there weren't enough good Fire cards to justify running Mono Fire. But now with Bronca and Burnclaw, and even some other cards. I think that this deck has enough fire cards to just run on its own. And yeah, I went to League today. I only got to play one match with it, but it was very solid in that one match. I won, and I think it tested out really nicely. I was getting good hands, and yeah, I like this deck a lot right now because now with everyone hyping up the dragons, stuff like Tendril Grasp and Barrage, I actually see them dropping in play, which makes this deck a lot stronger because those cards just annihilate this deck. And there's really nothing you can do if it's in a Shield Blast. I mean, if it's in a Shield Blast, you're going to have to break it at some point. Your best hope is that it's like the first shield that you break, that you don't lose too many things. But yeah, so I built this deck because I feel like people are ignoring Rush as a deck, and I think that this deck, a lot of people say that Rush is a really random deck and it's just based on chance, but I think that this deck, since you're running like the same, like you're running threes of everything, so you should be getting like the same hands each time, just constant, same plays every time. Drop something turn 1, drop something turn 2, evolve turn 3, drop a fast attacker for turn 4, then you just end up winning from there. That was really the goal of my deck last format. I feel like last set, and now with the new set that's out, I feel like you can do that much easier. So yeah, let's just go ahead and get started with the deck. Start off, I've got for the 1-drops 3 Blaze Belchers and 3 Jet Flame Bodyguard. Yeah, there's really not that much to say about Blaze Belcher. It's just an amazing card in Rush because it's obviously the 1-drop, can attack and stuff like that. And then Jet Flame Bodyguard is bait for your evolutions, which is very, very important. That way you can go like turn 4, drop Jet Flame, drop Laser Arm, and also it can get over stuff like Seneschals. And even if you need to, you can do stuff like crash it into, Star Lanterns, Refis, and stuff like that. Alright, so we've got, for the 2-drops, 2 Lava Leapers. Not my favorite card in the deck. Probably my least favorite card in the deck, honestly. I think that this card would definitely be the first card I cut once the new set comes out and they make a new card that could help this deck. But yeah, if it was a Drakon, it would be very good. Probably the best 2-drop in the deck if it was a Drakon. But it's not a Drakon, and that hurts it very much. But yeah, its effect is still pretty good. Can't run over with a Seneschal, Razorhide, or anything like that. Continuing for the 2-drops, I've got 3 Drakon Weaponsmith. Just an overall solid card. It going up to 3k gives the same thing the Bodyguard can do, where it can crash with Refis, Sunstalk, stuff like that if necessary. So that is very helpful for this. More 2-drops. I've got 3 Cliff Cutters. It goes at the 3k all the time, actually, just because, evolutions are something that you have to drop in this deck basically to win. So after you've dropped your evolution on turn 3, turn 4, you can do something like drop 2 2-drops, and then one of them being a Cliff Cutter, it'll go up to 3k. And it always being 3k is very helpful. 3k is definitely nothing to laugh at. And then last 2-drop, which is the newest one, I guess, it's 3 Bronca. This card is very, very helpful in the deck. It's just another solid monster you can do on turn 2. Turn 2 is a very important turn in this deck, along with turn 1. Basically, the first 4 turns of this deck are very important. Like I said at the beginning of the video, you really want to be doing the same standard plays where you go drop a 1-drop, drop a 2-drop, turn 3 evolve, turn 4 fast attack with something, and then doing that, it's very, very efficient. It usually will get your opponent down to like 2 shields or something around there. And then from there, you can just start. You have so many top decks in this deck that you can just fast attack another shield. And once you get your opponent down to like 0 shields, it basically means that you win. There's really not that much your opponent can do. You have a lot of destruction in this deck and a lot of fast attackers. So yeah, that is the point of this deck. It's Rush. That's what most Rush decks aim to do. Alright, so now for the 3-drops. I've got 3 Jet Thrust Starter. Awesome fast attacker. Yeah, nothing else really to say about this. This is the card that usually seals the deal for me. I can just like have this in hand the whole time. It usually can start everything. Like if you don't open up a turn 1 play, you can go like turn 2 drop like let's say a Bronca, then turn 3 drop a Jet Thrust, hit with both of them, and then next turn you can do something like evolve or play a fast attacker turn 4 too, and then it just your opponent's shields just start diminishing from there. Alright, continuing, I've got 3 Laser on Dracons, which is definitely the best card in the deck in my opinion. It's a basically fast attacker double breaker, which is very, very huge, especially in Rush. It's turn 3, so there's really not that much your opponent can do to stop this. Almost no blockers can stop this at turn 3, the only one being Scaradorable of Gloom Hollow. But, yeah, I mean, once your opponent... Like, the only blocker that's really annoying for this deck is Granger, and that's turn 6, and if you're dropping your stuff really early like you should, your opponent shouldn't have an opportunity to even drop Granger, which is very, very helpful. But yeah, Laser Arm Dracon, it going up to 6k can make it get over so many things, which is extremely helpful. And continuing for evolutions, I've got 3 Burn Claws, I only have 2, but yeah, definitely I would run 3. Very, very solid card. Getting Bronca is extremely helpful. One of my favorite plays in this deck is going drop Burn Claw, get Bronca, the next turn put Laser Arm Dracon on Bronca. It's such a good play, and it gets rid of 4 shields over the course of 2 turns, which is insane. So yeah, that's one of the main plays of this deck. But of course, just getting Bronca and then next turn playing something like one of your fast attackers like Dracon, War Chief, Gilliflame, or even Jet Thrust Starter. That can just get rid of a lot of shields next turn. Burn Claw is just an overall solid card. It does what the deck wants to do. It puts stuff on the field so you can break more shields. Field control is extremely important in Rush. Continuing for the 4-drops, I've got 3 Dracon War Chief. It's a fast attacker, and it does, unlike Gilliflame, it stays on the field. So I think in Rush, it's more important to maintain field advantage. You're not worrying about dodging stuff with Gilliflame as much. Still awesome that you can dodge stuff. Gilliflame is an amazing card, even in here, don't get me wrong. But I think War Chief is just a little better in this deck. Yeah, if this thing was just 5,000 all the time, it would be way better than Gilliflame. But yeah, Gilliflame has the advantage where it's always 5,000. This, it can get ran over next turn, which is very important. Or very unimportant. It's important, but it's bad. That's what I'm trying to say. And then, of course, like I said, 2 Gilliflames. I'm not running 3 because it can actually get very cloggy, and you don't want to open up hands like 2 War Chief and Gilliflame or anything like that. If you open up like 3 of these 4-drops, it can really hurt you. You'll probably open up maybe something like an Evolution with them, and it's like you have a whole bunch of really dead cards, and you can't do anything with them, and it can end up making you lose the game. Basically, like, if you get to a point where, like, you can't play stuff on, like, turn 1 or turn 2, it can really hurt you. Not turn 1 as much, but if you're on, like, turn 2 and you don't actually have a 2-drop, then you'll most likely end up losing. It's the only problem with this deck. But you run so many 2-drops that the chances of opening one up is, like, 100% basically. And, yeah, the fast attackers, like I said, they just seal the deal for you. They win you the game once you've done your standard play and break most of your opponent's shields. Now for the spells, I've got 3 Comet Missiles. Somehow I don't have the 3rd Comet Missile, so yeah, proxying this as well. Sorry about that, but yeah. I guess I'll have to look for that later. Comet Missile is completely standard in Rush. You have to run 3. If your opponent has blockers, blockers are one of the things that can completely destroy Rush. You have to get rid of Scaradorable of Gloom Hollow. The deck has no outs in monster form, I guess, to Scaradorable of Gloom Hollow, so you have to rely on your spells to get rid of Scaradorables. So putting stuff like Comet Missile into the mana zone is something I usually don't do, depending on what I'm playing versus. If I'm playing versus Dark or Light, I will almost never mana my Comet Missiles. Water, sometimes I do, because you have a lot more outs to the blockers. You can use monsters to actually get rid of the blockers versus Water. But when you're playing versus Light, if they drop a Granger, you're going to be in trouble. If they drop a Star Lantern, you're going to be in trouble. And then versus Darkness, if they drop a Scaradorable, you're going to be in trouble. So having Comet Missiles is extremely important versus them. Continuing along, I've got 3 Heat Seekers, just for more destruction. Another out Scaradorable of Gloom Hollow and Star Lantern. And it's just, you have to be able to destroy your opponent's stuff too. Your opponent will have monsters that'll prevent you from doing what you want to do, and that's basically the point of all the spells in this deck. Just destruction. Heat Seekers is a very, very good card. It's an early drop too, so you can go turn 1, drop your Jet Flame Bodyguard, turn 2, drop a Cliff Cutter, and turn 3 Heat Seekers if they dropped a Sunstalk or a Scared Orbital, depending whether they want like first or second or something. And then you can just start hitting shields again. And then if they don't have another blocker, then from there it just goes your way. And then last but not least, I'm running 3 Rock Bites, because the 1 cost less makes it much better than Tornado Flame in this deck. I don't like running level 5 spells. I couldn't imagine that. Opening up a Tornado Flame would be the worst feeling ever. It'd automatically go into my mana zone, and I would just feel bad. A lot of times when I open up Rock Bite, it's the same thing. Most of the time that I open up Rock Bite, it'll get mana'd. But a lot of the time, I won't mana it, because if I know what I'm playing against, if I'm in game 2, and I know that they have a lot of things that I want to destroy, I won't mana it first. It really just depends. But yeah, that is all for the deck. I really like this deck now. I think that this deck is very solid. It's very good versus people who aren't prepared for it. If you are prepared for it, it's a much harder matchup. If you're doing stuff like Tendril Grasps and Barrage in your deck, then you're clearly prepared for Rush, and it's a much harder matchup. It's usually an uphill battle against those, but when you're playing on stuff like Blurple or anything like that, it's usually an uphill battle for them instead of you, which is very nice. So yeah, hope you guys like the deck. Comment if you guys have any suggestions or anything like that, of course. And yeah, thanks for watching, and peace.